Last year was Jacked Dude Lebowski Dan Campbell's first as head coach of the Detroit Lions, and certain promises were made.
When you knock us down, we're going to get up, and on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
I believe that's called the Atkins diet. Sadly, their record reflected fewer kneecaps than fans had hoped for. It was another losing season, one that ended with their quarterback of 11 years hoisting the Lombardi Trophy for another team. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus. That's Kevin. In this episode, we can't shut up about the Lions. Is this the year they claw their way to a winning record? Or just another season filling the litter box? We're talking about the 2022 Detroit Lions. I'm going to show you someone whose ADP is way too low, someone you should love for fantasy but probably not draft, and why everyone is wrong about Amon-ra St. Brown. And now it's time for a breakdown. Last offseason, the Lions traded Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff and a handful of draft picks I assume they'll squander. It's possible the Lions confused him for Ryan Gosling. I'd watch a movie about the Lions starring Ryan Gosling. Hollywood, you've done it again. Despite once being a first overall pick, Jared Goff is nobody's first choice. Last year, he finished around 24th in QB fantasy points. For reference, if you double his total, he still wouldn't have cracked the top 4. If you're measuring him versus greatness, his forehead wouldn't even graze the bottom of Tom Brady's $1 million balls, which I assume say FTX on the side. To be fair, Goff lost 3 pass catchers and the majority of his ground game. Hard to stick to the plan when your top receiving option is a 4th-round rookie. Despite what fantasy Twitter would have you believe, Jared Goff is neither the worst quarterback in the league, nor is he worse with the Lions than he was with the Rams. He definitely didn't have the worst passer rating or interceptions based on, numbers. In 2021, Jared Goff's touchdown percentage was actually higher than the previous 2 years. His quarterback rating was higher too, and his interception percentage was down from the previous 3 years. There were, however, 2 stats that stuck out as worse. First, he suffered the highest number of sacks in his career, and second, he had his lowest passing yards per attempt since his rookie season, both of which were understandable considering his receiving options, plus, neither were the worst in the league. Goff's yards per game didn't change much throughout the year, just under 250 yards a game, but his touchdown to interception ratio did. In his first 5 games, he threw 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. In his final 5 games, he threw 11 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. If you want to get hype as a Lions fan, cling to this like a newborn to a teat. The latter part of the season is when Goff flexed nuts and they started picking up games. If he can pick up where he left off, the Lions are going to be different this year. I'm not going to break my neck doing a deep dive on Tim Boyle. Boyle somehow got 3 starts last year and lost all 3. Not that you'd expect him to do better than Goff, but from what I've seen, Lions fans aren't even thrilled that he's back on the team. I'm not even sold he's the top backup. David Blah is the other backup, and maybe the better one. He hasn't seen much action, but I wouldn't get too sweaty about it. None of the backups have more touchdowns than interceptions professionally. I'm in on Jared Goff late in redraft, best ball, and superflex as a 2nd or 3rd option. With everybody back healthy and the additions to the receiving room, I dare say there are more reasons why Jared Goff should succeed this year than not. He might even be good enough to keep his job next year. However, I'm still fading him in Dynasty. With no young talent in-house, all signs point to a rookie joining the Lions next year. Best case, Goff would keep them on the bench through their rookie year, but a coup is inevitable. And then he's off to the Panthers, I guess. Is that how it works? It's strange to be in Goff's corner. I've never been here before. The air is acrid and damp. There's a single stool and it smells like expired hope. I'm scared. Send help in the form of Margot Robbie. She seems fun. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, like the video, and click the bell. What you see is what you get with me. Which is to say, I am naked from the waist down. I'm kidding, of course. But now, you have questions. This is DeAndre Swift's 3rd year in the league. He has yet to rush for 1,000 yards or play a full slate of games. Last year, he was barely inside the top 20 for the position. His yards per carry dipped from his rookie season, as did his touchdowns. However, his rushing attempts and receptions went up. Overall, it meant a slight reduction in fantasy points per game from year 1 to 2. Last year, Swift owned an 18% target share. His increase of receptions wasn't a fluke. It's a trend, one that's likely to continue. Jared Goff has the 5th highest checkdown rate over the last 2 years. The problem with Swift has been availability. He's only played 13 games in each of his first 2 seasons. He missed 4 games last year for an AC joint sprain, and he played through a groin strain. Obviously, the concern is his ability to remain healthy for a full season, and the possibility that the Lions would manage his reps versus other backs in an effort to do so. Even if he can stay healthy and play a full season, I think it's unlikely Swift will lead the league in rushing, but that doesn't mean he can't still be a top 10 back for fantasy. He's 23 years old. He's still the best back on the roster. This is Jamaal Williams' 6th year in the league and 2nd with the Lions. Last year, he had 600 yards and 3 touchdowns. He missed 4 games. The Lions split carries pretty evenly. Williams was averaging about 10 carries a game, meaning if he hadn't missed those 4 games, he might have fit in here on the list. But that's just rushing attempts. He averaged 3.9 yards per carry and 9 fantasy points per game in his career. Williams is a decent runner. He doesn't have great speed, but he runs hard. Real hard. He invites contact and powers through it, which is great near the goal line, but maybe less great for his overall health. He's 27 years old, and I wonder how his body is going to hold up playing the style he does. Craig Reynolds came out of nowhere last year. Actually, he came out of Kutztown as an undrafted free agent in 2019. And yes, it is Kutztown, not Cutstown. Though for a running back, that would be pretty cool. I'm from Juketown, USA, baby. He's 5'9", 212 pounds. With both Swift and Williams sidelined late in the season, Reynolds saw the field. In Week 15, he rushed for 112 yards on 26 carries. That's 4.3 yards per carry, y'all. He doesn't have great long speed. He's not even that shifty, but he's good. He's a solid lunch pail runner. He has good vision and runs hard. He falls forward when tackled. At times, he looked like a poor man's Swift, minus the passing work, though he did catch a few balls. I like him as a backup, and I think if Swift were to miss time, he would share the load with Williams. Godwin Igwebuike is a converted safety that got a little run last year due to all the injuries. He's very athletic, and he's got the long speed you desire at the position. However, he's not a natural runner. Jermar Jefferson was drafted at the end of the 2021 draft. He's not athletically gifted. Some people really like him, but I've never been blown away. I think he's in a fight with Igwebuike for the 4th running back spot, and it'll just come down to who holds the most value for special teams. I'm buying DeAndre Swift in all formats. I thought he was the best back in his draft class, and I haven't changed my mind. The injury concerns are real, but the pass catching upside is too. The only worthwhile argument against DeAndre Swift is he just expensive Travis Etienne? Because they are similar. Swift's ADP is currently 15th overall, and Etienne's is 48th. If I miss out on Swift, which is a real possibility at that price, I'd likely just go around early on Etienne. The best place to buy Swift right now is Dynasty. If you can find a disgruntled Swift manager, maybe you can wrestle him away. I mean, it's fantasy. Everyone is disgruntled. I can't even remember the last time I was ever gruntled. I'd take Jamaal Williams late in redraft, if you need running back depth. His ADP is 157th overall. Craig Reynolds is one to watch. In deeper leagues, might even be worth a stash. He won't get much work without a Williams or Swift injury, but history has shown there's a decent chance at least one of them will go down at some point in the season. When that happens, Reynolds will be the guy to mix in. What's that worth? Probably not much. Maybe RB3 numbers, or maybe his furious little legs can carry him into the end zone one week. DJ Chark. He only played 4 games last year before fracturing his ankle. He missed the rest of the season, which was pretty entertaining in its own way. In March, he signed a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Lions. His current ADP is 182nd overall. What? Did everyone lose their minds? He's 6'4" and runs a 4.3. He's 25 years old. Just 2 seasons ago, he had 1,000 yards and went to the Pro Bowl. Is it the Jaguars residue on him? Is that why he's being disrespected? Because he could take a shower. Likely, he already has, at least one. Who are you taking before DJ Chark? Tyler Bass? A kicker? Broncos D? What the? Hey, the ADP machine is broke. Yeah, turn it off and then back on again. If Chark were to simply repeat his best season, which was 2019 when he had 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, he would have been 15th at the position for fantasy points last year. That's between Jalen Waddle and T. Higgins. And granted, I picked his best year, hardly scientific and entirely conjecture on my part. I mean, Jared Goff would have to be at least as good as the quarterback from that year, which was, checks notes, Gardner Minshew. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a breakout season last year. After being selected in the 4th round out of SC, the son of a sun god went for over 900 yards and 6 touchdowns, just outside the top 25 for fantasy points at the position. The bulk of his production came at the end of the season, from about week 13 on. Did something happen there? Yeah, dude. DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson didn't play. That's a big reason why so many targets were funneled to St. Brown. So obviously he's doomed to regression this year, right? I mean, fuck this guy. Well, St. Brown is the entrenched slot receiver, a high-volume target for Jared Goff. How much volume? In Cooper Kupp's last 2 years with Jared Goff, he averaged 129 targets. Last year, St. Brown got 119 targets. You could make the case that there's room for growth here. However, with the healthy return of Hawkinson, Swift, Cephas, and new additions Chark and Williams, how much of an increase could there really be? I mean, how many yards do you think Jared Goff is going to throw for? Jameson Williams was drafted in the 1st round out of Alabama. He's 6'1", 180 pounds, and he is stupid fast. He was my favorite receiver in the draft. Unfortunately, he's not back from an ACL tear he suffered in the championship game. He had surgery in January. I don't know when he'll suit up for the Lions. October? November? There's no reason to rush him. Josh Reynolds was acquired in the middle of last year. He's a decent depth receiver who put up good numbers in the back half of the season. They re-signed him in March on a 2-year deal. It's possible they look at Reynolds to help early in the season until Williams is able to return to form. If that's the case, Reynolds has value early, but a likely plummet toward the back half of the season. Quintez Cephas was a 5th-round pick out of Wisconsin in 2020. His metrics aren't great, but he showed well on tape and coaches were always singing his praises. I liked him. That is until a clavicle fracture took him out in week 5. He's a good football player, better than people give him credit for, but the roster features better athletes. He'll always be around, but there's no breakout coming. He's a depth player. The rest of the receiving room is Khalif Raymond, Corey Sutton, Trinity Benson, Tom Kennedy, Josh Johnson, and Khalil Pimpletron. Sorry, Pimpleton. Pimpleton. I'm sure that's not the first time somebody accidentally pronounced it like a dermatological Decepticon. Sorry, Khalil. Raymond and Benson are the best of this group. Grab DJ Chark in all formats. The disrespect that is being levied against this man. I mean, I'm telling you, he'll be there for you like a Snuggie and a bowl of soup on a rainy day. I have him in so many best ball leagues. He barely cost a firm handshake. Amon-Ra St. Brown in Redraft. However, I think his cost is inflated. Currently, his ADP is 70th overall. That's in front of Adam Thielen and Darnell Mooney. I don't think that St. Brown is some crazy huge talent that's about to crash the Matrix. I think he'll finish the season with slightly better numbers than last year. I wouldn't chase him in Dynasty. He's either a hold or a sell. Grab Jameson Williams in Dynasty, if you can afford to be patient. Last year, TJ Hawkinson finished inside the top 15 fantasy points for the position, despite missing 4 games. Prior to that, he was doing things. He's got the prototypical size and speed for the position, and if there's one thing I can say with 100% certainty, it's that this man absolutely has not cut his hair since he was drafted. Sweet cheese, a man bun! Dynasty sell, dynasty sell. It wouldn't take much of an increase in targets or touchdowns for Hawkinson to creep up into the top 10. Both of which are possible. With better receivers to stretch the field, Hawkinson could see more work over the middle, and if he can stay healthy, a few more touchdowns. Brock Wright was an undrafted free agent out of Notre Dame. He's 6'4". He's very athletic. His RAS is super high. However, he didn't catch many balls at Notre Dame. When Hawkinson missed time last year, he saw 17 targets for 12 receptions and 2 touchdowns. It seems likely he's the backup here again. though in the future, he may see competition. James Mitchell was drafted in the 5th round out of Virginia Tech. He's 6'4". His best comparable is Brock Wright? Well, that's a hell of a thing. He slipped in the draft due to an ACL injury he suffered in September. He's a great receiver with great concentration and good hands, able to make tough catches. He could push for the backup role here in time. First, he has to get healthy. The backups are Nolan Given, Shane Zylstra, Derek Dees Jr., Garrett Griffin, and Devin Funches. Yes, that Devin Funches. I shit you not. TJ Hawkinson in all formats. Nobody else anywhere. If Hawkinson goes down again, I'd be interested in Brock Wright, but I don't feel like the upside with him is so great you gotta stash him. Try your luck on the waiver, and if you miss out, who cares, so what? Put James Mitchell on your watch list. He might actually be something in time here. I like his upside, but coming off an injury and buried on the depth chart, I don't think he's worth stashing yet. Maybe next year, before Hawkinson's contract talks start. This year the Lions are transitioning from a 3-4 to a 4-3 scheme, making individual comparisons to last year's numbers even more guessy. After a goose egg in week 1, defensive end Charles Harris still managed to finish top 10 on the year for the position. He averaged over 4 points a game, a decent addition to your D-line. Edge defender Adian Hutchinson was drafted 2nd overall out of Michigan. He's 6'7". His metrics are sick. He's a major disruptor, and I can't wait to see him in the NFL. I don't usually recommend rookie linemen, but he's a bit of a unicorn. A big, violent unicorn. Invest in Adian Hutchinson. Linebacker Alex Anzalone re-signed this year. He's an extremely okay player. If you need a linebacker option to plug in some week, Anzalone played 100% of the snaps until his injury last year. By sheer volume, he's a body with hands that will be on the field. Linebacker Derek Barnes is very athletic, and if he can get there mentally, he'll take a big step forward. They want him to take a larger role. He just needs to prove that he can. Keep him on your watch list. He'll be given every chance to ascend. Safety Tracy Walker finished just inside the top 25. He missed 2 games. The same is true for cornerback Amani Oruwariye. If the new scheme and improved front line can get more pressure this year, they could both see more interceptions and passes defensed. The Lions are, how do I put this? Not horrible. They could win 7 games this year. It's hard to know what to cheer for. You want to see improvement and know that you're going in the right direction. On the other hand, you want a chance at a top quarterback in next year's draft. I just hope they get enough wins for Dan Campbell to smile. That dude really cares about the Lions. Must be so lonely. I'll cheer for the Lions this year. I like them being a disruptor. They're like the NFL's toddler. They're going to break shit and have some fun. Thanks for watching Shut Up Football. We'll catch you next time. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
What do you think, kids? Should we have some fun? No? Cool.